S-Word, featuring Will Gavin and Master Tess Fassian. And a squad of big-name contributors. The S-Word from talkSPORT.
Hello, welcome to the S-Word on the talkSPORT YouTube channel and the S-Word YouTube channel. I'm Ollie Klink. I'll be alongside the brilliant Flex, live from Mexico. Flex Mex today. Good morning, football fans. Welcome to the show. The tournament has officially reached the business end, hasn't it? And the drama is hitting fever pitch. What a start to the round of 16 we've had already. Morocco and France have booked those tickets into the quarterfinals. With the field shrinking, we'll be dropping our definitive world power rankings to see who's truly equipped to go all the way. We'll bring you our top 5 teams of the tournament so far. But do the US men's national team make either of our lists? We'll be checking in with the US camp to see how they're recovering after yesterday's 4th of July celebrations ahead of their massive knockout clash coming up. Will there be more fireworks on the 19th of July if they lift that trophy? And to break down last night's action, L'Equipe's Erik Bielderman is going to join us live to look at that gritty win for France over a relentless Paraguay side. We'll then look ahead to today's blockbuster between Brazil and Norway, highlighting a massive heavyweight battle. Erling Haaland against Gabriel. We've seen it in the Premier League. We're going to see it on the world stage. Cannot wait for that game. And I think Norway could be dark horses in that one. And finally, we'll be speaking to legendary talkSPORT commentator Jim Proudfoot ahead of England's monumental high-altitude test against Mexico in the cauldron that is the Azteca. I'm not afraid. 24 hours till kickoff. Get up there, boys. Here we go. You're watching the S-Word, sponsored by Kalshi. Well, we kicked off the round of 16 last night in style. France took care of business just against Paraguay, and Morocco brushed aside co-host Canada. Here's how it sounded on talkSPORT.
On this historic day of celebration for the United States, where famous sporting history could yet be written. Running onto it! Unahi tucks it away! Suddenly from nowhere, it's Canada 0, Morocco 1. Sofiane Rahimi sends Morocco through to the quarterfinals.
It is at full time in Houston. Canada 0, Morocco 3.
Morocco are one of the favourites for a reason coming into this World Cup tournament. They've certainly proved why.
There is extraordinary hype over this France side, but beware the tournament's great underdogs, Paraguay. There's a real confrontation going on here. Nearly every player from both sets of teams getting involved. Paraguay get themselves a corner, and this is where they can really threaten with the score 0-0. And could another great World Cup shot be on? Live on talkSPORT, lining into the penalty area. Terrific feed from Doué, and he goes down. It is a penalty kick for France. Mbappe stutters, right-footed and scores! The red and white wall is finally breached. And you have to say, the team that have tried to play are the team who look like they're heading for the World Cup quarterfinals. That's it! And France are through to the quarterfinals of the World Cup. Paraguay 0, France 1.
God, I tell you what, it was proper knockout football, wasn't it? Gritty performances, determined performances. Morocco and France getting through. We're going to dig deep into both of those performances in just a moment. One man who always digs deep, who's always a knockout. Flex, live from Mexico. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. It's game day. I'm ready. None of this Mexico loving anymore. We've been friends. They've accepted me, and it's been fantastic. And I know you've been on to me in the group. People been on to me saying, what's going on? I've immersed myself in World Cup culture, but today it stops.
No, it's ridiculous, mate. I'm sorry. No. You cannot back out of this. You cannot back out of this.
What do you mean?
You've been wearing a Mexico shirt for about a week. Ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Yeah,
what's wrong with that?
No, come on,
What's wrong with that?
You're an England fan.
No, hold on.
You can't just suddenly put the 3 lines on.
Hold on.
This is a joke.
No. Right, okay. So let's just go through about what this wonderful, spectacular sort of festival of football is all about. Let's talk about what it's all about. Yes, it's about all of the teams that play in it, but mostly it's about the fans. It's about everybody coming together, experiencing people's cultures, understanding people's way of lives and meeting new people along the way and taking each other in. And that's what it has been. And since I've got here, I have immersed myself in the host city of Mexico City with everything to do with Mexico, or Flexico, as you want to call it, or a lot of people have been calling it that. It's been amazing, right? They've welcomed me in with open arms. I'm talking enchiladas, I'm talking tacos, I'm talking sombreros, I'm talking high altitude. Like when I've been struggling with the altitude, they've got me water, they've got me oxygen, they've helped me a lot.
Yeah.
And
Flex Max.
Flex Max, mate. So that's not you do that every World Cup. That's what you're meant to do. Like at the last one, I was running around with the Moroccans. I was running around with I had a Moroccan shirt on in the last World Cup, mate. I had a Moroccan shirt on. I had a Saudi shirt on.
Why are you saying like that? Like, that's fine. Why are you saying it like it's fine? Just because you did it.
Because it is
ridiculous.
Because it's not. It's not. Now on the day of the team, of your team playing, obviously you don't do that. And as soon as I realise we'll be playing them,
are you going to wear one underneath though in case they win? Yeah, you're going to rip your 3 lines off as soon as Mexico win on penalties. Is that what's going to happen? Because you're immersing yourself, aren't you? Immersing yourself in the tournament. It's like you're going to be like Superman, mate. You're literally going to be like Superman. As soon as Mexico win, sombrero goes on, get the burritos out, and have a great time. And I think you're a joke for doing that.
Well, do you know what? Do you know what you're not thinking about? You're not thinking about my safety. You're being selfish because, have you tried being in those fan parks where there's 165,000 people in there and there's about 8 Englishmen in there? Have you been in there? No, you haven't. So until you've been in that sort of situation where Jude Bellingham might be doing this and there could be Mexican tears everywhere, sombreros on the floor, then I don't want to hear it from you. I would do whatever I need to do to get out.
Yeah, all right, I'll take it if you're being a spy. That's fine. I'll take it if you're being a spy. That's all good. Listen, mate. It's been amazing. Packed night of action, wasn't it? Last night, as we mentioned, Morocco getting through against Canada. We'll get into the France game too in just a minute. So many talking points from that game, especially Paraguay and the way they behaved on that pitch. Really poor refereeing. We'll get into all of that. But something I want to explore with this Canada game, right? I thought they played well. I thought they played really well. They did. Morocco, like I said, it was proper knockout football. They got the job done. They had 5 shots on target. They scored 3 of them. They're a very good side. They're going through to the quarterfinals. What did you make of Jesse Marsch after the game and some of the comments he had to make? He said that his side were the better team, but not in a way to be like, fair play to Morocco. Congratulations, Morocco. I thought we played well, but eventually they've got through. It was almost a takedown. He was there saying, no, we were better. We were better. Mate, you lost 3-0. What are you talking about? You lost 3-0. Have some grace. He then said, I'd rather be us than them. What are you talking about? What, you'd rather be out then? You'd rather be out of the competition. And do you know what? I think it's such a shame, Flex, because I think Canada, at the start of this tournament, if we're being fair, if you'd said to them, you get to the round of 16, they'd probably have snapped your hand off. They really would. They've done really well at this tournament. I think there's been times where he's had a lot of criticism because of his antics on the touchline. Some of the things he said, he's talking about a national movement after they beat Qatar 6-0. And I'll be honest, I didn't really mind that. If you need to get Canada on side, if you're trying to start a bit of fandom with football in that country, that's absolutely fine. But I just really didn't like his comments after the game. Have a bit of grace. This is a Morocco side that did really well to draw with Brazil, probably could have won that game. A Morocco side that's 34 games unbeaten. A Morocco side that knocked the Netherlands out, and they've beaten you 3-0. Have some respect.
Absolutely, mate. It's a Morocco side that currently sits 7th in the FIFA rankings as well. I don't know whether they've just gone up because of the win last night as well, but currently 7th. So this is a top team. I think, to be honest, these are Jesse Marschisms. That's what they are. I know you said have a little bit of grace. He also needs to just have a little bit of sense. It just needs to be sensible because at the same time, you know what he's trying to do, right? We all know what Jesse Marsch is like. He's trying to be the guy who steps out the box. He's trying to do this whole, like you said, this movement and get Canadian football on the map and build this sport in this country. But don't insult us. Well, actually, do you know what, though? He's not insulting us. He's insulting himself. The only person who looks stupid doing that is him, because the Canadian team can actually hold their heads high. They're not sort of buying into the rubbish. They're playing really good football. They're playing on the front foot. They created loads of chances, mate. In that first half, they really could and probably should have been 1-0 up. And when he broke it down, it's the way he does it. Yeah. If he did that in a more calm and sensible manner, he was actually right with what he was saying. He was like, listen, first half we were excellent, just didn't take our chance. We made one mistake in the second half and they punished us. And yes, that's because they're a very good team, and then they went on to win it from there. But the way he did it was like very condescending and very stupid and very arrogant. And it just kind of, from a neutral's perspective, just undone the work that we'd seen visibly. It made everything shift from what a great run Canada have had and what a good team they actually are, to be fair to them. And now we're just talking about these idiotic comments from the manager.
Yeah, all of
stupid.
it. You know what? You're bang on, Flex. All of it sounded like a dig at Morocco. And that's the problem I've got. I have no problem with him being proud of his team. I have no problem, really, with him arguing that they were the better side. Because you can make that argument. They were very good in that first half. I think they had Morocco a bit shaken. But ultimately, he's lost 3-0 and he's out. And you don't need to condescend, like you said, the other team with comments like that. And like you say, I think it's a real shame, especially for those players too, who put their all in. And yeah, I really didn't like those comments. And like you've pointed out, I just think it's a Marshism, really, isn't it? And even throughout this tournament, he's been taking a lot of stick. He came out on this press conferences and said he didn't give a damn about what anyone said. Fine. And honestly, during it all, I get it. Honestly, I get it. I kind of, he's taken a lot of stick. But I get it because he's trying to get the fans on side, and it seemed to be working. He's got them to the round of 16. But once you're out, you're out. You don't need to carry it on. You need to.
He didn't need to do it. That's the worst thing about this, is that, say this was like a really embarrassing, that you get this really embarrassing performance, right, where the team just didn't show up, even if they didn't get stuffed 3-0. But let's just say they just didn't show up. They didn't show any courage. It was completely sort of polar opposite to some of the performances that we've seen from Canada in this tournament. If it was that, then you might look at it and say, you know what, Jesse Marsh, I'll tell you what, players didn't show up. They've absolutely bottled that. You're just taking the spotlight off them because you are proud of them, but they just absolutely bottled it. Like, that wasn't the story of the game. The actual way they played and the account of themselves that they gave, even though they got stuffed 3-0, it wasn't a true 3-0, if you get what I mean, which is probably where he's coming from, of like, that's why we were the better team, which he just goes too far. But if they would have had an absolute howler of a performance, then I would say, be that smart head coach, that smart manager, make it all about you so that, the team isn't in the spotlight, maybe. And then you go and, give them an absolute rollicking behind closed doors because they didn't do what you asked them to do. But it wasn't that type of performance. The fans aren't looking for that type of justification. They're not looking for that type of comfort to be brought for them. They're really proud of their team. So it was just Jesse Marxisms, and he just looks so stupid and so salty. Saying it.
Yeah, I'd rather be us than them. They're in the quarterfinals, mate. So unlucky. Moving on, what did you make of Morocco then, and what do you make of them as a side? Obviously, coming up against France next. How dangerous do you think this Morocco team can be?
They're very, very good, mate. They're very, very good.
What are they? They're your third or fourth team at the moment. I can't remember. I can't keep up really. Like, how many shirts?
Well, I haven't had any of their shirts on this tournament because I haven't been to any of their games. So that was in the Qatar World Cup. But I was singing their song, lo 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 Imo Maghreb, lo lo. I do know the songs, yeah. And they hit the drum and they go zeet. I do know. Yeah, I have immersed myself. So, mate, I'm just, mate. You're just jealous because I'm seasoned. I'm cultured, mate. I go around the world, mate, and I take all these different cultures in, and you just want to just do the English thing, and that's it.
I'm in English boozers in my white that's all I've got.
You're just jealous. Yeah, probably being out here being sunburnt or something, right? Not even immersing yourself in this culture, yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
What was I going to say?
Culture,
Morocco.
Mate. Yeah, go on.
Morocco. Very, very good team. And it's actually to the point whereby they are, this is not a surprise. This is a team that in the last World Cup got to the semi-finals and gave France one hell of a game. I was at that game supporting Morocco. And they were brilliant. They were brilliant in that game. And since then, they've gone on to really change their playing style. I was speaking to Ali Hawaf yesterday, and he said one of the best things about this Moroccan side is how they've changed their playing style so much within this short space of time. Before, it was very much shut up shop, very, very stern defensively, very compact, nick one, and sort of see it out. Now, They can be on the front foot. They counter-attack really well. They've got fantastic wingers. They've got fantastic central midfielders. And then, of course, you know about the quality and experience with people like Hakimi, people like Mazraoui, etc., etc. So they play on the front foot. They get after you, and anybody has to play them. And I mean anybody are in for a hell of a game. They're a fantastic team. Of course, the situation with the AFCON, are they AFCON champions? Are they not? Let's leave that where it is. But they're a top team, and they're proving it, mate. They're proving it. They're not going anywhere.
What I love about Morocco is that it's not just this golden generation. It's not a fluke. This has been years and years in the making. And the reason I say that is when they played Brazil, they became the first team in World Cup history to field a side where none of the players had been born in the nation itself. And the reason for that is that Morocco and their FA decided that not enough players were picking Morocco despite having been born in other countries, but they had the heritage of the country. They then went out. They were going to 11-year-old prospects in countries like the Netherlands and countries like France, etc., and saying, look, if you want to come and join Morocco, this is what it's all about. These are your roots. Come and join us. And it all kicked off with Hakim Ziyech, the former Chelsea player, who didn't pick the Netherlands despite going through the academy. He picked Morocco. And now we're seeing the fruits of that at this tournament. We saw it in Qatar too. So I just love the fact that the FA deserves so much credit in Morocco for putting forward that as an idea and it paying off. And we're seeing that at this tournament. It's absolutely fantastic. Let's move on to France then. I tell you what, it's funny. We talked about Jesse Marsch's reaction to getting knocked out and saying that they were the better team and almost being angry about it, right? I think Didier Deschamps is the only manager that could have had that kind of reaction because of the way Paraguay played. Absolutely ridiculous. Flex, please tell me how on earth Paraguay didn't get a yellow card. Honestly, it's crazy.
It was abomination. It was absolutely disgusting what they were doing. They had no attempt to play, no attempt to draw on some of the good stuff they did in the round before against the Netherlands. They were really good in that game. And yes, I know you're playing France. I know you could be scared with the firepower they've got, and it's a completely different proposition to facing a Germany side that's in tatters, right? But it was actually it was borderline disgusting. It really wasn't. I don't know how the ref. There was elbow, mate. It was like
I'll tell you what. Let me just run through what they did. Let me run you through what they did. Upamecano got an elbow in the ribs. Matthias Galartha put his hand in Jules Koundé's face. Galartha went down when Michael Olise grabbed his shirt to get him booked. Andres Cubas went through Adrien Rabiot with a poor tackle. And then the worst one for me, was Velasquez kicking the penalty spot to try and scuff it up before Mbappe took it. And do you know what? Fair play to Mbappe. Fair play to Mbappe. He rolls the penalty in. He gives it big time with the celebrations. Even Deschamps was saying after the game that he put France's two biggest players around Mbappe at one point just to try and stop them kicking him, because he knows obviously the value of Mbappe. And what I loved though was there was no excuses after the game. There wasn't really a lot of those French players saying, "Oh, that was a joke, that was a disgrace." You just had Mbappe saying, "Yeah, if they want to play like that, we can play ugly too." We'll just find a way. Yeah, exactly. Into every single team at this tournament, as if they weren't afraid of France already, because it shows they won't just play through you; they will beat you in a battle as well.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when you have teams that are as good as France, when you have those teams in world football, in league football, whoever it may be, there's always these question marks like, but do they have a soft underbelly? Yeah, but if things aren't going right, can you rough them up? Can you get in their faces? Can you trick them out of their position? The answer to that with this French team is no. The answer to that with this French team is that they have no weaknesses. We were trying to go through this yesterday, Marcus and I, just trying to talk about where could you maybe get a France, and we got to the fullbacks, we got to Digne and Koundé in 1v1 situations with no cover. Maybe you might be able to get them there, but it's a stretch, mate. It's a stretch because you've got Upamecano on the cover if you get past Koundé. You've got Saliba on the other side if you manage to get past Digne's recovery runs. So there's not a lot to go off. So maybe Paraguay. Look, listen, they probably took the right approach in terms of trying to go down that route. But the way they did it, mate, it was blasphemous against football. They had no intention. Would they have one shot on target, I think, for the whole game? It was absolutely shocking. And like teams like that, Just get out. When you've got Cape Verde, mate, finding a way to be competitive no matter who they've played, not losing a game in 90 minutes, and they played the European champions and the world champions, right? That just shows you that there's a way to be competitive, and Paraguay absolutely threw it in the bin, mate. Get them out. Awful.
Yeah, they took it
football.
Too far. Yeah, because I'm with you. I don't mind a bit.
Dangerous as well, by the way. Dangerous.
That's the point. That's the word. Dangerous. And do you know what, mate? I can't really accept you wearing other shirts, but I would accept a Cape Verde shirt. They're tournament sweethearts, mate.
Is that allowed, mate?
Yeah,
are you allowed to say that?
That one's fine. That one's. Who's on the back of your France shirt? Who's on the back of your France
but you're
shirt?
English, mate. You're English, mate. You're English. Michael Oliste. He's half English. There you go. Is that all right?
Yeah, fine.
Can I do that?
If he's half English, that was fine. Wish you picked us, Michael. Oh my word. Anyway, plenty still to come today. We'll dig a bit deeper into that France result. We'll look ahead to France against Morocco with Erik Bielderman from L'Équipe, because that is some game, given how much we've just bigged up Morocco too. Of course, we'll look ahead to England at the Azteca against Mexico, just over 24 hours until kickoff, and I cannot wait for that. And we'll check in with the US men's national team too after those 4th of July celebrations. There could be fireworks, couldn't there, on the 19th of July? But that'll be for when England left the tournament. This is the S Word here, sponsored by Kalshi.
America! Around here, we only use the F word.
talkSPORT presents
the S Word.
kickoff to the full-time whistle.
Don't say the S word. Say the F word. Football.
The S word.
From talkSPORT.
Hello, this is the S Word on the talkSPORT YouTube channel and the S Word YouTube channel. Please subscribe and jump in those comments. We want to hear from you as we enter the business end of the tournament. France and Morocco already through, and myself and Flex Mex live from Mexico City thought it was only right to do our World Cup power rankings. So, Flex, these are our best 5 teams at the tournament so far. Obviously, you're a fan of all 5 of your teams. You're a fan of all 48.
Correct, mate. I'm a fan of the beautiful game. It'd be nice if you was. I'm a fan of football, mate.
Do you know what? I genuinely saw someone walk down the street the other day and he had a T-shirt on and he just had the World Cup on it. And I respect it. Just World Cup fan, mate. Just loves the trophy. Can't wait for the final. Just go on.
Oh my God.
Just seeing that trophy gets lifted. That's what he's there for.
That's what it's about. That's what I'm saying. You're just an odd one out. Miserable, mate.
I'm just stuck in miserable England in the pub, mate. That's basically what's going on. Listen, let's go through these. We'll start with our 5th team and work our way through to number 1 at this tournament. Wonder who we're going to have. But I'll start with my number 5, and it is the 3 Lions, England. That's who I've got in at number 5. Look, they haven't been that convincing so far. I think we can both agree on that. But the reason I've got them in 5th is because of 2 things. Thomas Tuchel has said consistently that as soon as a team come out and play against England, and the thing is there's evidence for this, as soon as a team comes out and plays against England, that's when we will see the best version of this side. I hope it happens, because I'm worried about that back 4.
Just tell them all to sit back then. Tell them all to sit back then. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah,
exactly.
Lovely.
I was a bit like, Thomas, can you just keep that quiet, please? but what I'm hoping for now, and they've got Mexico next, who are going to come out, especially at the start, and they're going to have to weather that first 20 minutes, that's for sure. But I'm excited about what I saw in that second half against Croatia. That is what I'm clinging on to. So that's why they're my number 5. Who have you got in there?
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. I've got England 5th as well. I do. I've weirdly been the more positive one. You know what it's like with Inside England with you and Rory being negative all the time and, just slagging off all the managers' decisions and this, that and the other. I like to be positive, and I do agree with what you said there. We haven't been great, but actually the moments that we've produced, I think is something to hang on to. When you look at when you've got Bellingham and you've got Kane in our team like we do, and you can keep that spine going and get that organisation going, I do think there are levels to go up in a really, really difficult game that we've got tonight. So, yeah, I've got England 5th. But people would probably look at that, if we're being honest, this is because we're English, really, because on performances, they shouldn't really be in the top 5. They shouldn't.
Do you know what?
They shouldn't.
It's more for me about the fact that if you were Brazil, if you were Argentina, even, maybe France, you wouldn't want to play England. You just wouldn't want to play England because of the quality that's in that team. That's the reason why they're in there at number 5. Like you say, have they been the best team at the tournament so far? Definitely not. But it's that quality that they do possess that means that for me they are in that top 5. At number 4, I've got Spain, who I think have grown into the tournament quite well. It's funny, isn't it? Because we looked at that first result against Cape Verde and we thought, oh, hello, this isn't the same Spain team that won the Euros. This isn't the same Spain team that we were tipping as one of the favourites for this tournament. But then after that quality has started to shine through. So yeah, Spain come in at number 4 for me. And you said that I was negative on Inside England all the time. I was the one ranking our midfield in 2nd place.
Yeah, that's true. But that's not positive. That's stupid. That's deluded. Actually, Ollie Klink. Oliver Klink.
Go on.
Oliver the First Klink. Right. I'll tell you what. You did say that. Sorry, I'm going off topic here. Just do this really quickly so we can get back to the power rankings. Yeah. Do you stand by that stupid comment? With what you've seen now, do you stand by that England's midfield, with what you've seen, do you stand by that comment that England's midfield is the 2nd best in the tournament? Do you stand by that?
Yeah. Stand by it.
Okay.
I completely stand by it, mate. I completely stand by it. And do you know why? Because I don't think any of the other midfielders have properly impressed me. I really don't. And whether that's been because maybe we misjudged the smaller teams in this tournament and how much quality and how much grit and how much determination they would bring, that might be it. Has anyone's midfield properly impressed you at this tournament? Be honest. Not really. So I'd still have England's in there in 2nd place. And it's funny because actually, initially we had Portugal's in first. We've seen Vitinha get hit the other day.
Terrible.
They haven't been good. So as much as we were trying to rank it, pretty much based on what it looked like on paper. Fair enough, but at the same time, yeah, I'll stand by it. Why? Why? Where were you ranking England?
I just always where I always did, mate. Always where I did. Probably
below the Netherlands, who are out.
Third, fourth, third.
Below the Netherlands, who are out. Yeah, nice one.
Germany are out, mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
was not played on paper.
Ahead of them as well.
Anyway, back to the power rankings.
You've got number 4 then. I had Spain. Who have you got?
Right, you've got Spain. Now, what I've done is I've just had a little bit of fun with my one because, you know, this is the World Cup. Now, this team probably they probably shouldn't be there, mate, because I should have Spain 4th. I'm not going to lie to you. It should be Spain. It's Mexico, mate. It's Mexico. It's Mexico. I'm sorry.
You've been brainwashed.
It's Mexico, mate. Nah, mate. Nah. It's Mexico. It's Mexico. Like, big them up, man. And you know what? A lot of it is because I'm here and like the feeling and the vibe here. It's like, it's very daunting, mate. And they haven't conceded a goal. And because I'm here when they're playing, I probably am thinking they're way better than they are. But I can't explain it to you. I need you to be here when they play. After the game, yeah, against Ecuador, bro, I've never seen anything like it in terms of the streets. Like, it was like they'd won the World Cup. The fireworks that were going off, the firework display for the end of the Ecuador game, right? It was going off. There were people lining, I'm talking millions of Mexicans lining the streets. There was like all gathered into cars, 8, 9, 10 people into 5-seater cars, bibbing, it was just so ridiculously crazy. And then on top of that, the team is playing really, really well. And even as a host nation, speaking to some, more serious note, speaking to some of the fans here and some of the journalists here as well, there's the feeling that like, they also can't believe that their team is playing this well. So I've sneakily put them in there because I just think they've done really well. They haven't conceded a goal as well. So yeah, they're 4th for me.
So Mexico in your top 5 instead of Spain, because of fireworks.
Well, you just picked out that one bit of fireworks. I actually said a lot of things then, but you just chose to pick out fireworks. So you're gonna have to ask yourself of why I'm saying that.
Right,
you're gonna have to be honest with yourself. Am I saying it because of fireworks, or am I saying it for all the other things that I said?
Okay.
You're going to have to ask yourself that.
Can I just ask
quickly,
you mentioned about speaking to journalists, etc. out there. Are you one of the 68,000 English journalists who've gone for a run in the altitude of Mexico and then reported back? Oh, it was so hard I couldn't breathe. Oh, my 5K time. And do you know what? I know that they're all doing it to say, yeah, I run actually. Yeah, I love a cheeky 5K even when I'm away. Shut up. You're not professional athletes. You've gone for a 20-minute run. I don't care what you think. It's ridiculous. Have you been for a run, though?
No, mate, I've walked in the altitude. I can't run. So I've walked and found it incredibly tough. So I can tell you, my walking times are down. It's not easy.
That's the tequila the night before, mate, and a couple of burritos. That's what's holding you back, not the altitude.
Honestly, Marcus Rashford's so right. There's way too much being done about the altitude. It does matter a bit, but we're doing too much now.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, in at number 3, team we actually have already discussed because they've got through, Morocco. They have been so impressive. And actually, I think the performance against Brazil, I thought they could have won that game easily. And do you know what? It's funny, isn't it? Because we knew that Morocco would be a bit of a force. We saw them get to the semi-final last time. We saw what happened at AFCON and how much quality they have in that side. And yet still, when they drew that game with Brazil, it was, Brazil weren't good enough. Brazil weren't good enough in that game. Should be beating a side like Morocco. And then the Netherlands, who had pretty much strolled through most of their group stage, by the way, looking really good, looking like a proper dark horse, because they weren't fancied really, were they, ahead of the tournament, maybe by a few when you looked at the quality of that squad. Come up against Morocco, who battle hard, and then beat them. You just wouldn't want to play them. And that's why they're in at number 3 for me.
Yeah, everything you said is spot on. I mean, we've waxed lyrical about them when we were breaking down the Canada game. They're everything what you're saying and more. They're just not a surprise package anymore. You know, like we're kind of like being disingenuous to Morocco now in terms of like not so much in what we're saying, but a lot of people about this sort of surprise package, sort of underdog mentality. No, they're just a really top team, mate. Like, that's it. Technically sound, got good athletes in there, a great mix between older players and younger emerging players. I mean, look at Ayoub Bouadi, for example, the emerging talent. He's been playing out in France. He looks exceptional. There's so many players that they've got that it's not a surprise. So, yeah, I agree. I don't have them third. I have Argentina third.
Okay.
Current holders. At that game against Cape Verde, there was another side to explore for Argentina, because yes, they didn't play well, and yes, they need to improve, and that's the type of performance that isn't really good enough for them. But actually, they showed like a sort of modesty that they don't usually have, to say, right, we don't think we're bigger and better than this. We have to dig in here. I mean, Messi was talking about it after the game, saying after they scored the first goal, he really felt that that'll be it. They started to open them up a little bit more, press them, but they just couldn't get a hold of the game, which is testament to them. And they found it really difficult. When you see those Argentina players dead on their feet at the end of the game, I said to the person I was watching the game with, which I know sounds weird because they ended up beating France in that World Cup final, but that game against Cape Verde, mate, was a harder game than what they had against France in that final in 2022. We forget the Argentinians, mate, for 80 minutes were cruising in that game, and Mbappe just activated in the last 10 minutes. They were exceptional, Argentina, for most of that game, and of course went on to win on pens. But this game the night before, was just so intense, and every time they felt like they were going to run away with it, they just got sucked back in with sheer grit, determination, power, and skill. So yeah, I've got Argentina, but also as host to be able to dig in. Sorry, as holders to be able to dig in and find that win against a really, really tough team in Cape Verde. You got to put him up there. And Messi, mate. I mean, look what he's done at this tournament. Look what he's going to continue to do. He's taken the mick out of the whole sport, to be honest with you. He's unbelievable. So yeah, I've got those guys third.
Yeah, 7 goals already at this tournament for Messi is just
it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
But it has been an extra game, to be fair.
Yeah. By the way, goal of the tournament is Cabral's.
Yeah.
Goal of the tournament.
Yeah.
And I don't think anything can happen to change that from now until the end of it, because it just the context of it all, the fact it's extra time, the fact it's Cape Verde against Argentina, it just has to be. What a finish that is.
Goal and game of the tournament so far.
Yeah, definitely. So actually I've got Argentina in at number 2, but I do agree with you. Yeah, that we swap. I do agree with you that you saw in that game. And they do deserve credit, because, like you say, let's not mug off Cape Verde. They're unbeaten in the whole tournament. They have been exceptional and a very tough team to play against. But I think you could see that Argentina can be got at. And I don't think that defence is as sound as maybe it potentially looked. And maybe so far they've breezed through and Messi's looked fantastic. You just start to think... I tell you what you do think. If they were on a, so-called tougher side of the draw... Maybe they'd be in a bit of trouble if they were taking on another one of the...
But they are getting the sort of Arsenal Europa League run to the Champions League final draw, aren't they? Yeah. They are. I give them that. But then you say that, but Cape Verde are not that. Cape Verde aren't that, mate.
Yeah, it's true, mate. Cape Verde win the Champions League, I'm telling you right now. So, number 1, who are you going to go for here? I wonder who you've got. Who have you got number 1?
Yeah, mate, we have to go France. We can't be silly about this, can we? We can't. We can't overlook them. We can't look past them, man. They're just frightening. And when they're doing so well, we all know about their players. And going into the tournament, we always do these things, don't we? Like, France could have a B team and a C team at this World Cup. We say all these things, and then sometimes, like, it doesn't materialise. Like, what was like what we're saying with Portugal's midfield. We're going, oh my God, Vitinha, Bruno Fernandes, Neves, mate. That's unbelievable. Then it plays, and you're like, oh, they're not a bit underwhelming, aren't they, really? This, that, and the other. Look at Argentina not winning in the way that Brazil. You look at France, they are everything we think they are, plus loads more, bro. Plus loads more. Like, I'll go, you are faultless. You have no flaws. You have no faults. And obviously, football's football. Mbappe is playing out of his skin. I remember talking to Erik Bielderman, which I can't wait to speak to actually a little bit later, when he was talking about the enigma of Mbappe. I've seen Didier Deschamps say that, people call him a dictator, Mbappe. He's not that. He is for the team. And I know his ego can sometimes come to the forefront. And that sometimes takes away from how good a player he actually is. Sometimes people forget. And World Cup Mbappe is just a joke, mate.
Yeah.
The way he activates. You know, Dembele's been chipping in. Olise's been incredible. Increíble, mate. So, yeah, I've learned that while I was here. Yeah. Immerse myself in the culture, yeah. But France, unbelievable, mate. And look at the centre-back partnership they've got as well with Saliba and Upamecano. It's just, they're just a joke. They look like a cheat code. They look like the team shouldn't be able to be that good.
I actually think, though, as well, their most impressive win was that one against Paraguay. I really do, and they've looked better in other games, but it's what they had to get through with what Paraguay were trying to do that, for me, makes it the most impressive. And it's Mbappe's comments after the game saying, we will win ugly if we need to. That's what makes it impressive. And I completely agree with you about Mbappe. And we did a few predictions on this show before the tournament started. And I said that Mbappe would be the one turning up. And there were a few questions, weren't there, with all the things that were going on with Real Madrid. It's not like he had a bad season, but all the stuff off the field.
40 goals.
Yeah, it's not bad, is it? Nah, it's all right. but you know what I mean? All the stuff going on off the field and the petition and you know, the Real Madrid fans not being happy with the way that he'd been acting. That was a background that you might think, oh, okay, maybe this will be the World Cup where he doesn't turn up. None of it. Absolutely none of it. Always turns up for France at these tournaments, and he's doing so again, and they just look fearsome, don't they? Interesting, by the way, Flex, neither of us have put the US men's national team in our top 5. Have we made a mistake there?
Absolutely not, mate. Absolutely not. I hope they go crashing out as well in the next round. This Master, honestly, who does he think he is? Honestly, who does he think he is? I know you feel the same about this, Ollie. He's got this arrogance about him. Do you know what? All he kept saying as well, these European teams ain't going to be able to do this. European teams ain't going to be able to do that. And don't get me wrong, you know, Germany showed themselves up. You know, Portugal haven't been the best, etc. The Netherlands are now out, you know, etc., etc. But I don't know, there's this arrogance from some of the Americans thinking that they're way better than they are, for me.
Yeah, do you think though? To be fair, I mean, to be fair to them, they pretty much breezed through the group stage. That game against Turkey didn't matter. They made loads of changes for it. They managed to get through the other day. But I don't know. Like when you look at their next game, do you feel as if, you know, this is where they come up against a side with quality in Belgium? All right, they haven't been the best, but what a win that was, by the way, against Senegal.
Huge win.
I mean,
can't believe
that game of the tournament, that was right up there. Senegal are not a bad team either, by the way. They haven't had the best tournament, but they're not a bad team. Do you feel potentially US coming up against Belgium, they won't have Balogun because of that red card, that it could be difficult for them?
Horrendous tackle from Balogun.
Yeah,
he really should think about himself in that.
But maybe this could be the moment that they are shown up, and it could be the end of the road.
I'll be honest with you, mate. No, I don't. I actually think USA are going to win this game. In all seriousness, in all honesty, Master aside, they have because that's what you have to do when you talk about the USA. You've got to leave Master to the side and then speak about the USA, right? Because he just comes for us, mate. He just comes for us. He's always in the group. Who's going to save you now? Where's Harry Kane? There. Anyway, back to what we're talking about. USA,
you are absolutely rattled by Master.
Honestly, mate.
Do you know what? Though?
Honestly,
do you know what's amazing? Is I was watching the DR Congo game. We were 1-0 down, and you know, you start thinking just before it gets to 70 minutes, you think about maybe all the things you've said on all the shows you've done. And you're like, oh no, here we go. I'm going to get so many pelters here. The one person I was thinking of was Master. I'll be honest. The one person I was thinking of because of that claim he had that the US would go further than England. And I was like, it's actually going to happen. It's actually going to happen.
He's the ultimate troll.
I would just turn my phone off for about 2 months and just go and live somewhere else, I think, if that happened. But yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think they'll do well. I think they'll get past Belgium.
I think Belgium, it's that win that I think changes things. You know, the fact they came from behind in the 86th minute to win 3-2, clutch penalty from Yuri Tielemans. There is quality in that squad still. I don't underestimate Belgium, and especially because the US will be lacking a bit of firepower. Anyway, looking forward to getting into that a little bit later on. We're going to hear the latest from the camp, maybe some sore heads after 4th of July celebrations. Thanks very much for being with us. And like Flex was pointing out, we'll also hear from Erik Bielderman from L'Equipe on France and the role of Mbappe in that team. You're watching the S Word on the talkSPORT YouTube channel with Kaushi.
From kickoff to the full-time whistle.
talkSPORT presents
The S Word.
talkSPORT presents
The S Word.
Get your full-on football fix from across the football galaxy.
The S Word.
From talkSPORT.
Hello, this is the S Word on the talkSPORT YouTube channel and the S Word YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe and jump in those comments. We want to hear from you. How are you feeling if you are a US men's national team fan and we didn't put you in the top 5 of our rankings? I mean, to be fair, Flex had Mexico in ahead of Spain.
Yep.
Mexico ahead of Spain. And they're going to get knocked out by England later on. So... By the way,
oh, it hasn't happened yet. We don't know.
I've been saying, Flex, that it's 24 hours till kickoff. That just shows how good my maths is.
You said that earlier, and I thought, no, we're 7 hours behind, but I still think the game's today. I still think it's today, but... So I mean, so you're going on about don't wear this shirt, don't do that, mate. You can't even tell the time.
Don't even know what the time is, mate. I'm nervous, mate. I'm nervous. I'm building up to it. In fact, I found out that I'm 12 hours too late. And I'm even more nervous, mate. It's just ramping up. We're going to war. We're going to war at the Azteca. I'm looking forward to it.
We are, mate.
Listen, huge game, isn't it, for England at the Azteca? Let's hear from the manager, Thomas Tuchel, who's been speaking to talkSPORT's Faye Carruthers ahead of the game.
I enjoyed your comment about saying that England were owed some karma for that goal back in 1986. I think you were about 12 or 13 then. What do you remember of it?
I remember the goal, of course. It was an iconic goal as well, and And in the same match, Maradona scored another one, like where he did it all on himself for 60 meters and dribbled around the goalkeeper and scored. So it was basically his World Cup. So I remember all that, and I remember sitting in front of the TV, and being here now feels a bit surreal. But like I said, it's iconic moment, and being part of it is very special.
Do the players know much about it? They're obviously a little bit younger than we are.
Yeah, they're younger, but they know, and they know what an iconic event that is to play in Azteca against Mexico. We feel on an international level that there are not many more iconic matches like that, like maybe Argentina in Argentina, Brazil in Maracanã. So yeah, we are aware of it. That it's a big challenge, and the players are very excited and looking forward to it.
The players definitely know about it. It's part of the national psyche, the hand of God goal. Happened at the Azteca for Argentina, of course, but England obviously have history at this stadium. Flex, we're going to dig into that a bit more when Jim Proudfoot, the England commentator for talkSPORT, joins us in just a moment. We'll talk about that challenge. We'll talk about the altitude. I know you did your 5K in, what was it, 45 minutes, so clearly it's difficult to run at that height. But just on England and the way that you feel that they'll perform tonight, Thomas Tuchel, like I mentioned a bit earlier, has talked a lot about the fact that these games against DR Congo, against Ghana, against Panama would be difficult because they were hard to break down. Are you expecting a different kind of performance from England against Mexico, who especially early on in the game you'd expect will try and run at us, try and suffocate us, press us high? Is that going to work in England's favour?
Yeah, I'm really hoping it does, because that's what we have seen with this England team. When we're made to have the ball and have to break teams down in a low block, we find it more difficult. I think we are built for transitions. We are built for pace and power. And we are built for those important and consistent duels. Having seen Mexico play quite a few times when we all watched them, it's obviously home advantage. They got the 12th man, mate. They're after teams. They are playing out of their skin. They are aggressive. They are on the front foot. They want to use all of that amazing atmosphere inside the Azteca to their advantage by putting teams under the cosh very, very early. And they did that against Ecuador, straight out the traps. Ecuador didn't have time to breathe. And it was chances galore before they eventually broke the deadlock. And I expect nothing different from them in this game. Yes, of course, they do respect England in terms of, they know the individuals that we've got, the players that are playing in the Premier League, some of the superstars we've got. Everybody understands that when they play England. The Mexicans aren't naive, but they're not scared of us. They're not scared of us at all. They are embracing this game. They are excited about this game. They wanted to play us. One thing that had been happening even before both rounds of the 32 is that they were saying, we want to beat Ecuador, make sure you beat DR, we want to play you. They want this game, so yeah, I do think stylistically though, as long as we're up to the duels and up to the level of physicality in the early exchanges of the game, it could actually help us in a weird way. It
could be a phenomenal game because, for all intents and purposes, and we saw it in the Croatia game, I don't think Thomas Tuchel is afraid of simply trying to outscore the other team. And I kind of love that as an England fan, and maybe we need to embrace that a bit more. I don't think Thomas Tuchel is that worried about conceding a goal in this game, and let's be honest, it's likely to happen with the way that Mexico have been playing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's there saying, well, hold on. Look at the big guns we've got in our side. Look at the players that can cause damage. We will bring that to the Azteca, which makes me very excited. Obviously, the problem position has been right back for England, and you can get stuck into.
We said this, didn't we? We knew this would happen
before the tournament. We said it before the tournament. There wasn't enough depth.
So obvious.
Yeah, at all. And he's there when Reece James gets injured, saying, "Oh, no one saw that coming." Really? Come on.
The whole nation did. The whole world did.
We all know his injury record, exactly. He's a doubt for the game, but there have been some positive signs, encouraging signs, that he might be fit. Jarell Quansah is also fit again. So what would you do in that right-back position?
Well, yeah, I forgot about Quansah. I forgot. Yeah, I actually forgot. What would I do? I'm very big on, in the biggest games, you play your best players. If your best players are available, you start them. Obviously, you do need to take things like fitness into consideration. Can they manage it? What sort of shape are they in? And is it more detrimental? Is it more bad than good to play them? But if there's a way where you're able to start your best players, for me, you start your best players, and that's Reece James. He hasn't had the best tournament, though, to be fair. He hasn't. I will admit that. I know he's been out for the last 2 games, but the games before that, he just looked a bit passive, didn't he? He looked a bit lethargic. But then the other option to that is Jed Spence. And listen, I'm going to stick up for Jed Spence a little bit in terms of, I think, the heat that he got for the goal against DR Congo. Yes, that's his guy, and he's left him because he's had to come in. But I think that was as a team, collectively, the shape was all wrong, which left people isolated, which just shouldn't have happened. So it wasn't all on him. And where you can use his attributes is his recovery pace in a game like this. He wins a high percentage of duels. He's incredibly quick, but on the ball, you're not going to get as good a quality. So I would start Reece James, but if he does go with Jed Spence because, 1, he maybe thinks Reece James can't be trusted to not break down, or it's not right to risk him, or 2, maybe even tactically, he might just go, you need to be really at it here, and I'm not sure if you're going to be up to the level of intensity, so I'm going to go Jed Spence. I could see Thomas Tuchel doing that, but me personally, I'd play Reece James. What about you?
Yeah, I think I would go with Reece James. I'm with you. You have to start your best players. I agree that he hasn't been that good so far at this tournament. I think you're right about Jed Spence, by the way. He was getting way too much heat for that goal. You can pick out so many mistakes in the build-up to that. Anderson not tracking his...
Oh, where was he, mate? The £116 million, mate. Where was he, by the way? Don't get me started on him.
The centre-backs were out of position, and Jordan Pickford needs to do better. So, yes, Spence looks like the one who's at fault, but actually, like you say, it was a collective there. The thing that I didn't like about Jed Spence's performance, though, was his abilities on the ball. I just thought he didn't look the level. That was my issue with Jed Spence. And as much as Reece James might look a bit rusty, you know that he's going to be at that kind of level when it comes to ball retention and that side of his game, and that's why I would start him. And if not him, I'd put Quansah in the queue ahead of Jed Spence even too.
Would you? You put... Oh, I wouldn't do that. I'd go with Jed over Quansah. That's interesting, that. That's very interesting.
Let's also hear from England's chief cheerleader, Jordan Henderson, who's also been speaking ahead of the game.
Coming up the steps and then looking at the stadium, it just feels so big. The pitch was in really good condition. Everything looks like, ready to go, really, all set. So, it's a pretty special stadium, and it'll be even better, I suppose, tomorrow when it's full. Looking forward to it.
In terms of where it ranks in the stadiums that you've played at, where would it rank?
I'll have to tell you after tomorrow. But in general, it's a pretty iconic stadium, isn't it, I think, and being here feels really special. Just walking out up the steps there felt really special, so I can only imagine tomorrow how special it will be when the stadium's full and it's bouncing. So, I'm sure it'll be very high.
Yeah, Jordan Henderson obviously talking about the Azteca there, and there's so much to dig into that. We will do that a bit later on with talkSPORT's England commentator Jim Proudfoot. But Flex, on the midfield, I'm not going to ask if you think Jordan Henderson should start the game. I think we both agree that potentially not. But Rice looks like he's going to be fit for this one. So do you stick with that midfield of Rice and Anderson with Bellingham in the 10? Would you change it up at all?
No, I definitely wouldn't change it, especially in this game. And when you're talking about physicality, that is the 3, isn't it? That is what they have best in terms of out of possession. All of them are honest workers. Jude's not going to be afraid to drop off that number 10 position, muck in and help out the other 2. What I would say, though, even though I wouldn't make changes to them, I would have a word with, and I don't know how Thomas Tuchel does this or what he really needs to say. That's his job. But I would look at how Rice and Anderson are playing together, because I do think for 2 players that are so physical, that are so good at getting about the park, there's too many gaps. I think they need to play closer together. I don't want you being more than 10, 15 yards apart, guys. Almost like holding hands, kind of shuffling across like this to give us that protection, because we need to win a hell of a lot of duels in this game, especially early on, to be able to set the tone. It might not be like that for the whole game, but if we're not at it and compact and winning duels in the first exchanges, then it's going to put us on the back foot. So I like the midfield, but I just don't think it's actually had the right balance. And there's been times where, not just saying it because of Man United, I think Kobbie Mainoo should have been in there to bring a little bit of calming influence to keep rotating the ball. We haven't seen it, and he's not going to play. But yeah, I would have a word with those two.
I think you're right about the balance, and there's a potential that, despite the fact that they're different styles as players, look, I think Declan Rice is one of the best carriers of a ball in the Premier League. We've seen that so much last season. Elliot Anderson is a player that likes to pass progressively, and it's one of his biggest skill sets, and it's very key to the way that England try and play. But you're right about that defensive cover. It almost needs one of them to act a bit more as an anchor, because I felt, even if you go back to the Panama game, there was times where Elliot Anderson, and Rice wasn't playing in this game, but he does it for Forest. He likes to roam. He likes to chase after space or chase after the ball, and that does leave big gaps. And you're right, they maybe, for this game in particular, need to just stay a bit closer together, or at least, try and act a bit more as a defensive anchor. And I feel a bit for Anderson, because actually when you look at the way he plays at Forest, he does that throughout the game for them, and Sangare mops up behind him. Maybe that should be the relationship that Rice and Anderson have. It just feels so far that they're not playing to the strengths of Elliot Anderson, and that's making
it's not as dominant, is it?
Worse.
And this, and I'm not trying to harp on about the best midfield, second best midfield, but this is why I have reservations, because like you said, a lot of other midfields haven't played well, but this is why I just have reservations about how good our midfield actually is versus what it looks like on paper. Because on paper, it should be, I would like it to dominate. I would like it to hold on to the ball and shut teams off a little bit, but I still feel we're a little bit too open in there. So I would have a word with those two for sure.
Okay, coming up next, we're going to be chatting to Erik Bielderman about the ferocious force that is France and Kylian Mbappe. Are they simply going all the way, or will it be a tough test against Morocco? Erik joins us next. This is the S Word, sponsored by Kalshi.
Big name reaction from both sides of the pond. The S Word from talkSPORT. featuring Bill Gavin and Master Tess Fassian. And a squad of big-name contributors. The S Word from talkSPORT.
Hello, welcome back to the S Word on the talkSPORT YouTube channel and the S Word YouTube channel. We are, 58 hours until kickoff between England and Mexico. I've got no idea. I'm too nervous. I am way too nervous. Flex has washed his Mexico shirt, ready for the game. This might be an England fan. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But a team we need to speak about, of course, is France, who I believe is your third team, isn't it, Flex? Or where are they ranking for you?
No, Morocco. Morocco, my third team.
Oh, yeah. That's it. Yeah. So where are France and your Elise shirt? How many layers underneath is your France shirt?
No, Cape Verde above that. I did like what they did. I'll probably say France about fifth.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Just support all of them, mate. Then you can't lose.
Yeah.
Can't lose, yeah.
Festival football, mate. Festival football.
And you're a Man United fan, aren't you? Yeah. That's not glory hunting. Anyway, it's time to speak to our favourite Frenchman about that performance last night. 1-0 win over Paraguay, which saw them through to the quarterfinals. L'Equipe's Erik Bielderman is with us. Erik, how are you?
Okay, just a big relief after a hard night. Hard night for France, but hard night for football.
Absolutely. And do you know what? I was going to ask you where you rank this win for France at this tournament so far, just given those dark arts that Paraguay were trying to employ.
We knew we had played them in 1998 on a knockout phase, and we won it 1-0 on extra time with the golden score. So we knew it was going to be a fight. It was a question of being patient and a question of not losing your nerves. If we lose our nerves, we would have been hammered. So that was one of the trickiest opponents to meet. Even if you knew you could maybe stay to 120 minutes without conceding a goal or conceding a clear chances from them, but their only aim was to go to the penalty kick. And that's not something, when you have such a great team, a great offensive squad, you don't want to be involved in the tricky penalty shootout.
Yeah, Erik, I mean, I think that performance, how's it gone down in France? Because I think there's a grit, there's a determination about it. I loved Mbappe's comments after the game where he said, yeah, if you want us to win ugly, we will win ugly. How much has that been received by the French fans as something positive?
Very positively. I mean, we know that Kylian Mbappe is on a mission. The whole team and the manager who is having his very last tournament with France and his icon, Didier Deschamps, we know that they are ready to die on the field. It's a way of talking, of course. So for them to win ugly, when you are Kylian Mbappe and you talk about beautiful football, you talk about entertainment, you talk about being Paris Saint-Germain and then Real Madrid clubs, which have the tradition of being dominating and an entertaining team. So it means that you have to go at war to play Paraguay. Let's go. We are going to go at war. But the main question was not to play ugly, was to play with brain, not to concede silly yellow or even red card. Because what did the Paraguayans? They were just going on provocation, and the referee on that game, the guy from Uzbekistan, it was just a shame. Just a shame.
Erik, leading into the tournament, I spoke to you about Kylian Mbappe, and you gave us the insight about how he's viewed in France. Of course, incredible talent, incredible player, has been there and done it. However, there's these sort of connotations around him, and Deschamps was talking about sometimes people call him dictator. This is not true, and you get the good, the bad, and the ugly of Mbappe sometimes. And you are sort of saying which one's going to show up. How impressed have you been with this version of Kylian Mbappe, and was this the one that you thought was going to show up?
Of course, we are impressed. What is funny is that some French fans, they have made a petition, I don't know to say that. They asked people to sign, to say, dear Kylian, we do apologize of what we have said, what we have thought about you.
Have you signed it, Erik?
I might have signed it too. Because yeah, it's true. It made thousands of people signing for it. what we can say is that there is two Kylian Mbappe. There is the selfish one who, on a club version, on a daily basis, can really be hard to deal, hard to cope, and how to work with him in the dressing room. And the one who is on a mission. 2018, he was on a mission. 2022, he was on a mission. One, he won the World Cup, and one, he went to the final, and by himself, he nearly won it against the whole Argentinian team. So we might not have forgotten, heading to 2026, what was achieved in 18 and 2022. But the end of the love story was quite negative with Paris Saint-Germain when he left 2 years ago, had made a very, very big split between him and the majority of the French fans. And then he decided for some couple of games for France not to come to play. We adopt about that. But now we must sign the paper about apologize.
How much credit, though, do you think Didier Deschamps deserves for making sure that version of Kylian Mbappe turns up at the World Cup?
You know, Didier Deschamps deserves every credit to every single situation which is happening for France as a national team. But I don't think Didier Deschamps could be able to make something that Kylian Mbappe would not like or love to do. You can't control Kylian Mbappe. Whatever you are, the chairman Nasser El Khelaifi of Paris Saint-Germain with the billions of pounds to ask something from Kylian. You can be Didier Deschamps with one of, if not the highest ranking of trophies as a manager, as a player for France. Kylian Mbappe is a boss by himself. So the credit to Didier is he's the king of making alpha players, ego players in the dressing room to work well together. And for Kylian Mbappe, we don't need Didier Deschamps. We need Kylian Mbappe to control Kylian Mbappe.
Eric, another player you spoke to me about going into this tournament and said that the French fans weren't sure upon is also Ousmane Dembele, because the PSG Ousmane Dembele is usually not the same Ousmane Dembele for the national side. He's got 4 goals in the tournament. How have you seen his performances? Is this the Ousmane Dembele you want to see, or is there still more to come from him that you want to see?
I must say we are a bit disappointed. We are not very surprised because the Dembele of France is not the Dembele of Paris Saint-Germain. The Dembele of Paris Saint-Germain, since the achievement done with Luis Enrique, plays as a central forward. Before that, he was playing right wing, and he was not the one we did really enjoy at Paris Saint-Germain. With France, he has to play on the right line, and this is not where he is the most confident and the most efficient. So, of course, we are disappointed, even if he scored 3 goals on a quite a meaningless game the night before. But the question is, when you have Olise, Mbappe, you can have Barcola, or you can have Doué. And even if we do have, I would say, 60 or 70% of Dembele, that should be fair enough to go to round by round with a quite efficient offensive squad.
Eric, honestly, watching France so far, especially as an England fan, you know, there's moments where I've just sat there and gone, well, we might as well all pack up and go home, because they just look that good. They can win in any way possible. They're so sturdy at the back, good in midfield, incredible going forward. Is there any weakness to this side? Is there anything that worries you going forward with France?
Yeah. What worries me is that now we are heading to the mountains climbing. Morocco is a strong team, and they have something very special to win against France for historical reason, and they are a great team. Then we might have Portugal, but more likely maybe Spain, and this is one of the type of football we don't fancy at all, because in the midfield, as we are playing with a 4-2-4 system with only 2 guys, That's going to be very tricky, and maybe we shall see a new system emerging, the old version of 4-3-3 to go at war against Spain in the midfield. And then, if we do make it, is about Argentina. I'm sure it's about Argentina because they have quite an easy road to the final. Not the easiest one, but quite easy. So we can be favorite, we can be exciting, we can be offensively fantastic. We have some problems tactically. We will have some problems in the next rounds. And then if we want to go in little details, we are not 100% safe with our wings back. Quite happy, but not safe on the very highest level. So every time you're going to speak with a Spaniard or with an Argentina, it will also give you question mark about his own team. But I'm just here to talk about the French weakness. I leave my colleagues for their teams.
Yeah, it won't be Argentina, it'll be England, obviously. But
I was going to say, he didn't rate us at all. He said it's not going to be England.
Not even mentioned.
Harry Kane, and that's it.
How nervous are you, though, Eric? You alluded to it there, about that game against Morocco, who so far have proved a very, very tough side. And actually, what's interesting is, you talk about that system that France play with the two in midfield. That's quite similar to the way that Brazil line up. And we saw what Morocco did in the group stage against Brazil, and I thought they were unlucky to lose that game. Yeah. Should that strike a bit of fear into the French?
I don't think Didier Deschamps will change the lineup. It looks like he has made a deal with the players to go with this system as far as they can. And it's very politically speaking for the dressing room to decide to drop one of the four up front. So I think during a game, if he sees that the team is really losing the situation, he might swap to a 4-3-3 system. Or if we have the chance to win or to have one goal ahead of Morocco, one goal ahead of Spain, maybe can decide we now need to keep the goal safe and to go on a 4-3-3 system. So I think, of course, we are going to be nervous against Morocco, but I have the feeling that we have a better side and a better offensive lineup compared to Morocco. I am more suspicious about Spain and Argentina on the following rounds, if so.
Despite that, because obviously, like you pointed out, I asked the question and everyone can pick out weaknesses in their side. In France, is there an expectation that they go on to win this? How confident is the country feeling that France will go all the way once again?
Of course, there is expectation. I think the country is really in love now with the team, with the way of playing. Before that, they were in love with the team, but not with the way of playing with the previous 4-3-3 system. And despite the fact that kickoff is 11 o'clock, like yesterday in France, there was nearly 13 or 14 million people in front of their TV watching the game, and yesterday I was on the street to see the game on pubs and the cafe, because as you know, it's very hot, so people stay outside, and it was crowded like hell. Crowded like hell. The country needs at the moment, for many reasons, maybe like most of European country, we need to have some positiveness in our destiny, I would say. So, of course, we are hungry like hell to see our team winning.
Eric, sign that petition then for me, and we'll see you in the final.
Sure.
All right, Eric, great stuff. Thanks very much for joining us, Erik Bielderman there from L'Equipe. Didn't even mention England. Maybe he's right to do so, given how difficult it will be for the three lions to go all of the way. Talking of going all the way, a bit later on, we're going to talk, of course, about the US men's national team. Looking forward to that. Masters very confident, as Flex pointed out a bit earlier. Tough game coming up against Belgium. They've just had their 4th of July celebrations, of course, too. So plenty plenty of positivity in that camp. We'll also look ahead to that game between England and Mexico with talkSPORT's commentator for the game, Jim Proudfoot, who is out in Mexico City. I don't know if he's met up with Flex yet for a burrito, but hopefully they have got one over the line. This is the S Word, sponsored by Kalshi.
From the touchline to the terraces, talkSPORT presents the S Word. talkSPORT presents the S Word. High energy exchanges, fiery fan reactions, and the biggest football debate. The S Word from talkSPORT.
Hello, welcome back to the S Word on the talkSPORT YouTube channel. I'm Ollie Klink. I'm alongside Flex, who is live from Mexico City. In his England shirt, though, this time, which is good. Good to see. Because you've been wearing all sorts, haven't you? There we go, the Three Lions. They're playing, obviously, a bit later on tonight. I've got no idea what time they're kicking off, apparently.
Yeah, we are. We are playing later on tonight, yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, you'll be playing in the morning, won't you?
Who knows? I mean, to be fair, the kickoff time was going to get moved, so I'm a bit confused. I'm very nervous. I'm really looking forward to it. We have got, though, Flex, another massive game to look forward to tonight as Brazil take on Norway to find out who will take on the winner of Mexico against England later on this evening.
Left-footed, big chance, the winner, GABRIEL. Brazil have got away with it. Carlo Ancelotti barely moved a muscle.
Wherever he goes, whatever the league or country, he finds success.
Will the real Brazil please stand up?
Finding HAALAND! Norway look to their go-to man, and Erling Haaland, as ever, when it really matters, he is on the end of things.
It's not going to be easy, because Norway has a very good team, great players, You mentioned Haaland, he's on fire.
His 5th goal at this World Cup, and if anyone can stop Lionel Messi taking the Golden Boot, it may be Erling Haaland.
It's absolutely a golden generation, and people in Norway are of course dreaming of this team can go very, very far.
If we lose, I think the Norwegian people still are happy because we went through for the first time.
Let the drama unfold.
I just know, Flex, that I'm going to see some sort of video of you before this game doing the Norwegian row. Won't you? Be doing the Norwegian row,
maybe,
and then a bit of Brazilian samba. But listen, I mean, I am so excited for this game. You know, you look at the ties in the round of 16, and this is one of the biggest. I think this could have the potential to be a real banana skin for Brazil. How much are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this game. I think Norway have done really well. I think when you look at what Haaland's done at the tournament and just his record for Norway in general, it's ridiculous. Even though it's his first World Cup, he's just, the amount of goals he scores and the rate he scored them at is unbelievable. But they look strong, Norway. They do look strong, and they was able to even give Haaland a game off as well once they qualified as well. So I think they're going into this extremely confident. Brazil are always the ones, right? We're expecting them to be sort of up there with some of the tournament favourites, etc. And we heard in that package there, and Jason was sort of saying, "Will the real Brazil please stand up?" And it's like, well, the real Brazil hasn't stood up since 2002. Let's be honest; they've been going for a really bad time with a lot of expectation not being met. So that expectation, it always exists, but they haven't managed to capture any of that. But I think they've grown into the tournament as it's got on. I think that game against Japan as well, again, they proved that they can win in that type of style, going 1-0 down. Didn't have the best of first halves, but Carlo Ancelotti can get into his team, make changes. They've got quality from the bench as well. So I think this is a really even game, but I still have Brazil as favourites. But you're right, that banana skin is the right term to use for this game, because Norway could absolutely cause an upset here.
Do you think it's a bit harsh to say, will the real Brazil please stand up? Because when you look at who they've played so far, they dealt with Scotland and Haiti. They drew with Morocco, who we've already talked about as a very good side at this tournament. We just spoke to Erik Bielderman, who from the France perspective is saying they're a bit nervous about that game against Morocco. So they drew that game 1-1. They then beat a Japan side who, let's be honest, so many of us... Another very good team. They battled back and came from behind to win that game. Do you think it is a bit harsh to maybe look at Brazil and say, well, they haven't really turned up yet?
Well, I think it's because people are looking at the players and obviously the nation that it is and expecting them to play football that's on the front foot, entertaining football, and just blow teams away. And again, like I said, it is disingenuous to other teams. You look at the draw they had against Morocco. We've just waxed lyrical about Morocco for the whole show. We understand how good they are, and like you said, Japan are an excellent team as well, and they haven't lost a game. I also feel like there's been a little bit of some balance issues as well. Sort of fine-tuning things. Obviously, they started off with Igor Thiago. He was simply replaced by Matheus Cunha. Then options off the bench as well. Rafinha got injured, so then Ryan had to start starting. So a few of their plans have been scuppered a little bit. Casemiro, the football had left him in that first half against Japan, and he stays on and does what Casemiro has been doing all season for Man United, which is score goals via set pieces or with his head at the back post. He's phenomenal at doing that. Ended up getting the man of the match, I think, as well, which was probably a bit too far. I wouldn't have gone with that.
They clearly didn't watch the first half then.
No. But I did speak with Brazil fans afterwards. We was doing some interviews with them and the Japanese fans actually, and I was asking them like what they feel needs to change going into the next game. Mate, they're saying, listen, I said, I'm a Man United fan. What do you think about Cunha? He's great, isn't he? I'm trying to do all that gas work for Cunha. They were like, not really for us, mate. We need Endrick playing, to be fair.
Really?
Get that kid in. And there was like, they want Endrick starting. And there was like, Neymar's got to play. And I was like, Neymar's injured. He doesn't look fit. Like, they was like, no. Ancelotti, he doesn't like Neymar. He doesn't like Hendrick. Why is he not playing him? They were fuming, mate. They were fuming. Wow. So, you know what the Brazilians are like as well with the expectations. So, yeah, so a lot of them were saying the general consensus was get Hendrick and Neymar into this team immediately.
It's funny because I don't think that's where their weakness lies at all. I actually think going forward they've looked bright. Vinicius has been Vinicius. He's been fantastic. Bruno Guimaraes in that more advanced role. I always think he's so much better. I always think it's something massively underrated about Bruno Guimaraes as a Newcastle fan is his creativity. People see him as this all-action midfielder, box-to-box, etc. And that's a huge part of his game. But that man can create. It's so important for Newcastle United. That's why they don't win when he doesn't play. You know, and so far, you know, he got 2 assists against Scotland. He got the assist for that goal against Japan. He's been very effective, but it's the midfield that I worry about. We've just talked about that first half with Casemiro. And I'm sorry, he was run past so easily for that first Japan goal. I just worry about the legs that they have in there. And actually, I would include Bruno in that. As much as I think he's fantastic going forward, I think if you were going to pick out a weakness in his game, it is his legs. He doesn't always keep up with the play. And so if you've got him in there with Casemiro, and if they play this 4-2-4, as you know, sometimes they like to do against a counter-attacking team in Norway, by the way, that could easily get overrun, and that's why I feel that this could be a bit of a banana skin for them.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. I mean, with that midfield, what you were saying, it is interesting about the makeup of it. And again, we've seen this with Casemiro. We've seen it at Man United. When has Casemiro looked at his worst? When there's big spaces to cover and he doesn't have somebody next to him where the team's compact. As soon as Michael Carrick came in, him and Kobbie Mainoo, very compact. All of a sudden, Casemiro looks like a world beater again, right? And I do think it is about a balance. I mean, Ederson was drafted in late because of an injury. He has got legs, but he's actually opted for Fabinho to come in and shore things up, which again is kind of the opposite of what we're saying. He's just not really got legs anymore as well. So I think it's just more about closing up the spaces rather than trying to find players who can get after everybody. You just got to be more compact, but they've just got options, mate. They've got a lot of options. And when you got the recovery pace of Gabriel Magalhaes behind that as well, it's not bad, is it? It's not bad.
Talking of Gabriel, we are about to see the latest round of Erling Haaland against Gabriel, which in the Premier League. I mean, do you know what, Flex? For so many years, us growing up watching the Premier League, you had proper player rivalries, didn't you? You know, and Roy Keane was always in the centre of that. He had about 50 player rivalries. Yep. But of course, Patrick Vieira is the one that sticks out. We could go through so many other teams where you had that player-to-player rivalry, which would always get you excited. And I love that there is a modern edition of that in the Premier League. And now we're going to see it on the world stage. Who do you think has the upper hand in it?
I would say, well, overall, you mean within this game?
I think within this game in particular.
Yeah. Within this game in particular, I'd still say Gabriel because he's playing in a better team. I think if Brazil turn up to their top level, I don't see Norway beating them. And I think that actually Haaland could have a pretty quiet game. You know, Haaland is that enigma, right? It was the same against... who did they score? He just scored a goal against in the last round.
Ivory Coast.
Again. Ivory Coast, that was it. Mate, I was actually saying to the guys watching, I was like, look at Haaland, man. Look at him. He hasn't touched the ball in ages. I forgot he was playing. Bang, goal, right end. Like, it's just what he does. And I think with Gabriel, yes, that initial willingness to engage in physical contact will be there. They love doing it against each other. They love the battles. But if Brazil are on the front foot, Haaland could just not see the ball. There might not be much going on, but in those key moments, you know, set pieces or in transition where Haaland gets turned and he can run towards goal, that's where we're going to see it. We will see coming together. So we will see it. It depends how Brazil play and how the game pans out, whether we actually do get it consistently enough through the 90/120 minutes, but it's going to be mouthwatering. And one thing I love about those two is the housery, and it's that acceptance from both of them to say, we are doing this. As long as we play for Arsenal and City respectively, now the national teams are facing each other, you know what it is. And there is a respect there. There is. I know there's been some disrespect. There's been a lot of disrespect shown in certain times when he threw the ball on his head. You know, other times when they're pulling each other, they're just going at it. But it's brilliant. And that's what you want to see. Stay humble there, you know. It keeps going on, and now Gabriel is a Premier League champion over Haaland. So there's a new level and a new layer to this rivalry now as well.
What I do love about it is the way that Erling Haaland knows how to get in Gabriel's head. He knows how to wind him up. He will be in his ear all game, even if he's not getting the ball. Even if Brazil are all over Norway, he will be in his ear and saying, you wait till we counter, mate. You wait till I get this ball. I am going to rinse you. And I think that Gabriel at times can be quite an emotional player. We've seen that for Arsenal. And I think a lot of the times, by the way, it's not a criticism, it helps. That's what makes him a very, very good defender. But if you've got a striker with the quality of Erling Haaland in your ear, saying, you just wait, mate. And he's been doing it all season and season before that with Manchester City. It could strike a bit of fear into him because of that rivalry that they have.
It absolutely can. And do you know what? I saw a clip yesterday on X, right? And it was a compilation. Somebody had tweeted or put a what is it anymore? Put an X out? I don't know. They tweeted, right? And they said, I'm paraphrasing here, but they said Haaland's ability to like never get rattled whilst like getting the most physical treatment. And it was like loads of clips of people just elbowing him, pulling his shirt. You know, the one where Rudiger was underneath his armpit, you know, just giving it to him. And he has this, people don't actually talk about his level of calmness because he can be, he's big and powerful and imposing. He doesn't lose his head a lot. He does get heated, but he knows when to sort of step back a little bit. Like you said, look at the headbutt situation where Gabriel should have got sent off in that game at the Etihad. He didn't. He knows, and he didn't, you know, Haaland didn't throw himself to the floor with theatrics. He embraces this type of treatment. He loves it. And he has this unique ability to not only embrace it and deliver upon it, but not let it wind him up too much where it throws him off his performance. It never seems to be like that. So, yeah, I think there's a new layer to this. And I just hope we get to see it. Because, you know, sometimes we can bill it as like, oh, they're going to be at it all game. And then it's like, oh, Brazil just dominated the ball. Didn't really see Haaland. That was an easy 2-0 for Brazil. Do you know what I mean? I hope it isn't that. I really want to see a good game.
I think we'll see at least something. We'll see some post 4th of July fireworks, hopefully, I think. Just going back to you speaking to those Brazil fans, it's interesting, isn't it? And we all do it. We all do it as fans of national teams where there's the debates about who should start and who should come into the starting lineup, etc. But it's funny, isn't it, that they're questioning Ancelotti's decision-making. All right, Brazil haven't quite been at their best, but this is Don Carlo, Flex. For me, when you look at that Brazil squad, there's obviously quality there, but as we've pointed out, it's not of a certain vintage whatsoever. I think their trump card is Carlo Ancelotti. So it's interesting to hear that there are a few questions about him, but you get the sense that if Brazil are going to go all the way or are going to make it to the final and go far in this competition, they'll do it because they've got a man who has done it before in the Champions League on so many occasions.
Yeah, he is a top manager. And speaking to the Brazilian fans, I was surprised to hear. Well, actually, I'll tell you, like, I wasn't that surprised, actually, because before I went out there on the social, we spoke to Tim Vickery. I think it was Tim Vickery. And it was actually. And of course, South American football expert. And he was explaining the initial sort of feelings around Don Carlo going to Italy. Obviously not Brazilian, and the Neymar situation as well. They wanted to see him play more, and they also felt that maybe João Pedro should have been there as well. There's just some little things going on where they weren't quite happy, and that just spilled over into asking the fans how they feel about him. So what they think is that he has an agenda, or he just doesn't like Endrick and Neymar. They've made their minds up, saying he doesn't like Neymar. He needs to play Neymar. And it's obviously Neymar's a national treasure, isn't he? So they don't care how fit he is. They're like, just get him out of there, get him on the pitch. So yeah, but for me, I agree with you, Ollie. He could be the difference maker when the going gets tough, when you got an elite operator like Don Carlo.
Look, if you're going to trust anyone, it's going to be Carlo Ancelotti, who I would argue, by the way, if he wins this World Cup, Potentially makes him the greatest ever manager. It does.
Best ever, yeah.
Potentially does, especially
mate.
tournament football. 100%. He has to be, but potentially in that conversation as the greatest manager ever if he gets a World Cup. Also on that glittering CV. In just a moment, we're going to be talking about Mexico against England at the Azteca. It's a 1 a.m. kickoff UK time, which means it's. Which means
6 o'clock here, mate.
Which means it's soon. 6 o'clock over in Mexico City. That is where Flex is at the moment, so we'll get the lowdown from him too. This is the S Word, sponsored by Cauchy.
The S Word with Will Gavin and Master Tesfacion from talkSPORT.
talkSPORT presents The S Word. Listen again and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on the talkSPORT USA.
They wanted to interview us, some England fans and stuff. I was with Abby Summers and AGT, Alex Gilday Trot, and they were like, "Oh, don't know," and this, that, and the other. And you'll see, I'll send you the clip, Ollie. I give it the whole. Hold on a minute. What? All this Mexican? No, England are going to win. I'm not having this. Like, I've had my time. I want to make this very, very clear, Ollie, right? Before, obviously, we knew we was going to play them. I'm turning up here. I'm just enjoying myself. Brilliant, unbelievable scenes. Yes, I was waving the Mexican flags. I was getting the chants going.
No.
Viva Mexico, everything.
Do it.
Yeah.
Get it going now. Go on. I'll do it with you.
No, I was just going, Viva Mexico, Viva Mexico, Viva Mexico, vamos a Mexico.
It's not even a chant. It's not even a chant.
No.
You're just shouting that.
I just made it up. And then they were all doing it. They were all doing it. And mate, if you just walk through, it's so good, yeah. You just walk through the field, you go, Vamos, Mexico, vamos. They just start going mad. Anyway, since it's all been sort of signed, sealed and delivered that we're now playing them, once we got the job done against DR Congo, That's it for me, mate.
So you are back in
and I'm
England,
actually being
then?
serious.
You are back in
Of
England.
course I am. Of course I am. What kind of question is that?
But no, what I mean is on the pitch you are back in.
Oh, right. Yeah. I think we're going to win. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be very, very hard. I do think that some people back home are maybe underestimating them a little bit. I know because we're doing a bit too much with the altitude and stuff, but just them as a team and how they're playing, they're a good team, mate. It's going to be a very difficult game, but I'm definitely backing us to win.
Yeah, it's said to be a huge game at the Azteca, Mexico against England, and it's live on talkSPORT.
Mexico is as big as it is in the World Cup.
In the last 16, England will go to the Azteca.
Maybe one of the most beautiful fixtures that you can have, play against Mexico in the Azteca.
Viva Mexico!
Jimenez makes the run into the area, and the glancing header is in by Canonians. Mexico have the first goal.
Raul Jimenez again! It's time!
Magnificent!
Can you believe it?
This is one tough game. Level of toughness. This is a 9.9.
The altitude is going to be a big problem.
Their record there is unbelievable. If you want to be world champions, you have to go through tough games.
We're better than the Mexicans. We're better than the Mexicans.
Jude Bellingham comes up trumps. Kane on the turn. Oh, what a goal!
When the going gets tough, they show up, and we will do this again.
I am fired up for this one. Cannot wait for it. Mexico against England. It is a 1 a.m. kickoff UK time, 6 p.m. in Mexico. And as part of your live coverage on talkSPORT, your match commentator, Jim Proudfoot, joins us now. Jim, it looks like you're on a high-rise building there. Can you breathe up there given the altitude?
Yeah, it doesn't really make any difference if you're on the 6th floor of a building, if you're on the ground level of a building. The altitude difference there does not do you in, it has to be said. Walking down the street, you feel it, I've got to be honest. I haven't done a huge amount of walking since we've been here. You go out for a 5 or 10 minute walk, as Flex will tell you, when you're not used to it, you can feel it. It's nothing more than that. I'm not for one moment suggesting that I resemble a professional athlete, but what I understand from the science is that for everybody, you just feel that it's different, and it probably affects your aerobic capacity by between 10 and 15%. So they know what they're letting themselves in for. They will have been absolutely fully briefed what to expect. I think from the game point of view, really, Mexico come out and try and hit teams really, really quickly to take advantage of them feeling a little bit discombobulated when games start. So if England could get through to the first hydration break in a relatively solid manner, I think that will be a big step forward.
Yeah, Jim, you're not one of the 58,000 journalists who've gone out and run a 10K just to find out what it's like. I was really hoping Adrian Durham would have done that, but sadly haven't seen that video yet. But it's a really good point, isn't it, about that first 20 minutes. It's something I saw Brad Friedel actually talking about, saying that Mexico quality-wise aren't a great side, but what they'll try and do is suffocate you. Is there a worry then that when you look at that game against DR Congo, easily the worst part of the game for England was that first 25 minutes?
Yes, it is a concern. They were so flat in that game the other day. It was frightening. And if they were to play like that, I think that could potentially be a mortal wound to their World Cup campaign. If they were to play like that in the first 25 minutes, I would imagine that Mexico will be able to exploit it. Now, I think that they have to improve, and there is this train of thought, as you're well aware, that the better quality of opposition that England play, the more it plays into their hands, and the better England play in those games. The toughest match on paper that England have played so far is Croatia, who were ranked 11th in the world, and they were superb in that. They had a 35-minute spell where they were really good. The other game that is most comparable to this one, I suppose, in terms of an away fixture that they played under Thomas Tuchel, was in Serbia, where there was an intense atmosphere, no altitude of course, but an intense atmosphere, and they went there and won 5-0. So England's away record is sensational. They haven't lost the game away from home since 2022. They've only lost one on foreign soil in between times, which was the final of the Euros. But they can't afford to start this one slowly. You're absolutely right.
100% agree there, Jim. Where do you stand on team selection, mate? Some of the places are up for grabs now. We know what's going on between Jed Spence and Reece James. At the top end of the pitch, Marcus Rashford, I think he had a really poor game against DR Congo. Anthony Gordon is one of the big reasons why we're in this next round with 2 assists. Bukayo Saka pushing for a start, but still nursing some injuries. Do you bring in a John Stones because of the type of atmosphere you're going to be in and you want some experience in there? Or do you go with the dual winners, the physicality and the pace and power of Konsa and Guéhi? Where do you see all of these conundrums going, Jim?
Well, the defence, I mean, is a fascinating one, and I think that John Stones is the key to everything that will happen. So if John is fully fit and they're in a position that they can put him in from the start to effectively detail Raúl Jiménez, then I think that means that he would partner Mark Guéhi and that Ezri Konsa would move to right back. Reece James isn't going to be starting, there's no Jarrell Quansah. And the best player that Mexico have is Quiñones, who is the left winger. He plays on the left-hand side of the front three in a 4-3-3. He's the one that you've got to keep quiet. He's the top scorer in the Saudi Pro League. You absolutely have to have a man who is on top of his game in a defensive capacity playing against him. And I don't think that Thomas Tuchel would surmise that Jed Spence is right on top of his game defensively at the moment. So that is very difficult. That then has a knock-on effect further up the field, because you might look at it and say, well, do I risk Declan Rice at right back? I mean, that has been talked about. I don't think that will happen. I can certainly see the logic in it. I wouldn't be averse to it as an England fan were it to happen, because if you brought him in, then you could bring Morgan Rogers back in and you can try and take Mexico on going the other way more easily. But I don't think he'll do that from the start. My gut feeling is that he won't think that he can get 90 minutes out of Stones, and it probably will be Spence again. But I don't think that's ideal.
Jim, what can you tell us about England's preparations for this game? Because they were trying to keep their hotel a secret. That was always going to be very difficult. We know that the Mexican fans, as Flex has seen so far, are very passionate. They're going to try and put off this England team as much as possible. It's not ideal, is it?
It's not ideal. It did make me laugh when they said, well, we're determined to keep the location of the hotel as quiet as possible. And if I was a Mexican fan, I'd just look for the hotel in town that had 2,000 Mexican police outside it, because I would surmise that was probably going to be the hotel that England was staying in. I might be wrong. I mean, who knows? But I'm just guessing that would be the case. It will have been a difficult night for them. The Mexican supporters will have done everything that they can to make the most of home advantage. We're staying across town from where England are, and Flex will be able to testify. It is a very noisy city. I mean, they say that New York is the city that never sleeps. I reckon this one runs it close. I mean, it's quiet this morning, but it was late last night. So, listen, I slept with earplugs in. I didn't have too much of a problem. It was my first night adapting to the altitude, and again, it didn't affect me from that perspective. I'd like to think that with the herbal remedies and everything that the players will have been able to take advantage of, and England are well versed in this kind of situation, that things will actually have been a lot better than people would have made it out to be. The hotel was going to be secure. So I listen, if they wheeled that out as an excuse after the game, it maybe is being a little bit disingenuous. They won't do that. It won't have been as bad as people are making it out to be.
Yeah, to be fair, Jim, I wouldn't be surprised if there was 2,000 police outside Team TalkSPORT's hotel, so maybe it's a bit of a decline. Just going back to the excuse idea too, and when you talk about the way that Tuchel has built up to this game, there's two things I want to explore. Firstly, he was asked about the altitude, etc., and he said, look, we are not going to be ready. Full stop. There's no chance that England will be ready for this game. Did you feel that was managing expectations, or maybe he was being a bit too honest?
No, I think it was managing expectations. I didn't have any problem with him saying that. I mean, if he had said we will be ready, then there would have been any number of scientific experts would have been able to go on social media and said, no, well, you really won't be, and would have been able to back it up with all the theories. So I think he's done exactly the right thing. Ideally, as you'll be aware from you'll have read the same articles that I will have read, they could have done with coming in later. I mean, the time frame at which they have arrived, and they were compelled to do so by FIFA, is probably as bad as it could be. I think the 36 or 48 hour window before you start is not ideal. You really want to come in as late as possible, so your body hasn't had a chance to think about it. I'm led to believe if you can't acclimatise properly, and to acclimatise properly, we're talking weeks. So I think that he was just being honest, and he just gave a sensible answer to the question, to be honest with you.
Jim, I don't want to be pessimistic, right? Because I believe we're going to edge this game. I believe we're going to get through.
Don't be pessimistic then.
I'm not. But I do have to ask this because you're the main man, right? You're the main man. This is an incredibly tough game, right? If we went out, right, what do you think that looks like for Thomas Tuchel? Would there be an acceptance that listen, Mexico in the Azteca, anybody can lose that game. It is what it is. He's obviously signed a new deal as well for extensions. Or, depending on the manner, or just a loss, could it look a little bit different? I just wanted to see your thoughts on that.
You see, that's a great question, and I think that you've hit the nail on the head with the last thing you've said there, Flex, depending on the manner of the loss. I mean, that will clearly have a big part in moulding the conversation. If you look at a historical perspective, England haven't beaten a side as high as Mexico in the Elo ratings in a match in the World Cup since 2002 when they beat Denmark. They've played 7 games against top 9 opposition since then. They've won 2, they've drawn 2, one of which they then went out on a penalty shootout, and they've lost the other 5. So in an historical context, if England were to lose this, particularly when you bear in mind it's an away game and not one played on neutral territory, then all it is a result that is in keeping with England's history over the last generation. But that isn't going to be how England fans see it, I don't think. And I think that although the FA, I don't think that they would act, it would be conceived as a black mark by England supporters if England go out in the last 16 of a World Cup. There's no getting away from that. But for the record, I, like you, don't think it's going to happen.
Jim, I just want to ask about something else that Thomas Tuchel's been very consistent in with his messaging, and that's that as soon as England start to play against teams that come out against them, and we saw this in the Croatia game, that's when he thinks they will absolutely shine. Do you think that will happen, though, against Mexico, other than the first 25 minutes? Because I think it's only South Africa so far that they've actually had more possession than at the World Cup. So should we expect another very frustrating night, or could we see the best of England, given the context, given that it's knockout football, and given that it's at the Azteca?
I think the possession statistics are going to be very similar to they were in the England-Croatia game, where England probably shaded possession, but it wasn't a marked advantage. The one thing we know about Mexico, they're not going to come and sit and perpetrate a Ghanaian-style low block where they're keeping everybody behind it, because the home fans simply won't allow that to happen. And that works in England's favour. I mean, that's the one thing about home advantage for Mexico that I think works in England's favour, is the expectation of El Tri supporters that they're going to have to come out and have a bit of a go at this. And I think that definitely will play into England's hands, because England in transition are fantastic. They have been for a number of years. They can get the ball forward quickly. They've got pace, they've got finishing ability, they've got men that can produce moments at the top end of the field. So I'd take on board what you're saying, that it's not going to be 65% possession Mexico, but I think if it's something like 55-45 either way, that really does play into England's hands. That's almost ideal.
Jim, you got me fired up there, and we'll let you go and get some oxygen. Jim, thank you very much indeed. Jim Proudfoot there, talkSPORT's England commentator. 1 a.m. kickoff for the game, UK time, 6 p.m. in Mexico City, where Flex will be enjoying it. Flex, thank you very much indeed, mate.
Thank you, man. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait for this game. Let's do it. Come on, we're not going out. We're not going out. We're going to do it. Come on.
Here we go. Flex, thanks very much, mate. This has been the S Word, sponsored by Kalshi. Thanks very much for your company. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow. Goodbye.
Bringing all the biggest football debates stateside. The S Word from talkSPORT.